Prior to COVID, tourism was a $41 billion industry. We'd seen significant growth over 10 to 20 years ourselves, about 3.8 million international visitor arrivals in 2019. But like other parts of the world, we were starting to see some pressures that visitors were bringing as well. Not in all places of New Zealand, but certainly in some places. And we're aware of places like Queenstown, Milford Sound and Mackenzie. Some of the volumes of visitors going into those places were really starting to impact our communities, our social licence as an industry, and also some of the impacts that it was having on the environment. So we too had our issues prior to COVID, and so we were starting to rethink about what we might want to do differently and how we might want to better manage the tourism industry or be better stewards of our people and our place in regards to tourism.
And hence this crucial shift from destination marketing, telling people what's there and hoping to draw them in, to destination management about once they're there, how do we make that work well for the tourists and for the community?
Yes, you're right. So prior to COVID, most of our focus was on creating demand for New Zealand, visitor attraction, bringing people to New Zealand and then dispersing them out amongst the regions as best we can. But now we were starting to think about the impact of those visitors and also thinking about the supply side of the industry as well. So supply in regards to the visitor experiences that we are offering, the types of experiences, the infrastructure that's actually available within communities to help support and manage those visitors and lessen the impacts, but also more importantly about our communities and the impact that tourism has on our communities and our partnership and relationship with iwi or mana whenua from a tourism perspective.
So with the border closed with COVID in 2020 and then in through 2021, those 2 years gave the tourism industry a chance to reflect and get stuck into that work. So can you give us a bit of a sense of how that work has shaped up and what sort of insights have come through?
Sure. Prior to COVID, we had about 4 regions who had already done destination management plans with that broader scope, Auckland being one of those, Bay of Plenty, Southland as well. But this additional funding during COVID enabled all 31 regions to actually focus on what they wanted for the future for their destination and go about the process of developing a destination management plan. Part of that funding was also given to support the tourism industry during the height of the crisis. So with closed borders, no international visitors, the goal was to stimulate as much domestic travel during that time. Tourism New Zealand stepped into the domestic marketing space. Prior to that, they had only focused internationally. And what this funding did for RTOs was enable all 31 RTOs to be able to partner really closely with Tourism New Zealand on domestic marketing as well as their own marketing. And you would all have seen the Do Something New New Zealand campaign, which was a result of that investment.
Whoa, do something new, New Zealand. Take the lead this weekend.
So Queenstown Wanaka, 2 separate RTOs, but within a single district council boundary. They elected to do a combined plan as opposed to separate plans, and their plan was released towards the end of last year. The 2 regions coming together was quite ambitious at the time to do that because the communities are quite different. The context around tourism is different as well. So as a result of that, they did take a really strong regenerative tourism approach. And one of the key areas particularly that's gained more focus in the last little while is to become carbon zero by 2030.
Tourism, we had lost of our social licence before COVID. So we went out to the community and just actually asked them some simple questions. What do you love about this place? And what would you like it to look like for the future generations? And so the engagement came back from the community that tourism is good, but it needs to be different than it was pre-COVID. And what can tourism do to actually help enhance this place and protect this place, and that's where the Carbon Zero 2030 has been really galvanising. It has pulled the community together. We're seeing industry and community come together to actually solve this problem.
Yeah, I mean, we had our local council unanimous 100% support for it. The Mayor was really strongly in support of it as well. It's everybody we've spoken to, it's not so much been a question about this is impossible or this is a really stupid idea. It's more around, love the idea, love the concept, how do we do it? How do we do it quickly? What do I need to do as an individual or as a business? How can I get on the journey?
The braveness of this community and the knowledge of actually around climate and climate action has, you know, we have not had a single person say, don't do this. I mean, it's special.
There's one other thing that really surprised me, and I've been loving it, is the learning of how much incredible technology is under development now to solve a whole bunch of these world problems, which, you know, I had no idea that there were potential solutions not too far down the road. And again, that creates this amazing opportunity to be able to use this place as a test bed to prove that they, you know, proof of concept to show that they work.
And like Air New Zealand, the leadership that they showed with the talking around having their electric flights by 2026, a test flight, and then looking at regional flights being electric by 2030 gave us confidence that this could be something we could look at. Having the electric jet boat by Shot Over Jet gave us the confidence that we've got operators moving that way. And then we look at Real NZ with the decarbonisation of the TSS Earnslaw, and if you can decarbonise a 110-year-old steamship, just go for it.
As tourism recovers from COVID, are you starting to see the extra benefits from regenerative tourism come through in your data?
Yeah, we are. Look, I mean, we have seen demand come back. We're still below 2019 volume levels, but we've also seen expenditure go up. So we're seeing the model change already, that we're getting lower volume of people coming, but more expenditure. So it's a great mix.
And part of that story is that people that we're seeing coming travelling are staying longer. That's partly how they're spending more. They've got more time to do it, more time to immerse themselves in the local community and the local environment and the local lifestyles and activities that we love to do. And that's really how we're offering the invitation to come and visit us, is come and be part of us while you're here, rather than just looking through a glass window and taking some snaps, putting them on Instagram. It's really immersing yourself.
Yeah, we're looking for that temporary local. We want people to come here and be temporary locals.
Tell me about how the community is going to benefit from this big shift in tourism strategy.
One of the things that came from our community sessions right throughout the whole of the Queenstown Lakes District and Wanaka and here on this side of the hill, what we heard was, how can we get visitors to be actively involved in helping to benefit things like conservation, biodiversity and climate change locally here, so again, so that they can feel more connected to the place, start feeling the wairua that we feel and the connection that we hold dear, and getting them involved in understanding the pressures they're in and then helping to achieve those. So another initiative that we worked together on was creating 2 community funds.
We launched the community fund just last week, and we have Love Wanaka and Love Queenstown. So the two mirror each other, but if you're giving in Wanaka, it goes back to Wanaka. If you're giving in Queenstown, it's going to Queenstown. So as soon as you arrive in Queenstown, you're welcome with us at the airport. You'll see the flags in town, and the operators are on board, helping to display how could you give back, or they're actually having an option where part of their proceeds go into this. And so both the funds are up and running. The money itself does not go to the regional tourism officers. It goes to the Wakatipu Community Trust, and they actually hold 20% of it into an endowment fund so we can grow it for future generations. And then we have 2 rounds a year of distribution that must be to charities and to biodiversity, reforestation or climate change.
You've been at this for 2 years so far, and what have been some of the big surprises for you in your experience so far?
It really goes back to what we started with, the collaboration between 2 RTOs, with council, with Ngāi Tahu, with the Department of Conservation, with our respective communities and the community groups within those communities has just been amazing. I've never seen this much collaboration, and talking with council, they've never seen this much collaboration and engagement on a project. And it's just been really, really valuable. The amount that I think we've all learned as part of that, and the opportunities through collaboration versus an old style model where everything was a competition, where that just achieves so much less. We can do so much more if we work together on stuff.
I mean, the COVID pause has really given us that chance to just stop and rethink tourism. And we've often had that comment, well, what's different? The borders are open, but it's completely different. I mean, pre-COVID, we wouldn't be working like this. And here we are working so tightly together. And not only are we working tightly together in our markets, but we're working together on such an ambitious goal to be the visitor economy carbon zero by 2030.
And we've got visitors literally coming here, travelling here specifically to learn what we're doing. What a great type of tourism to have.